Welcome to the Kent Lapp Podcast.
I just don't have the conversations anymore with people on this made me feel uncomfortable.
Okay.
That's why I wrote it. I wrote it to make you feel uncomfortable. I wrote it because it's probably important that you should be thinking about this stuff. Like I have a piece in that book where sort of about intimate relationships and how sometimes as we get further along, you right when you start the relationship, it's this ecstasy, right? And tons of sex. And then you get further on in the relationship and that just goes downhill at a dramatic level. And I wrote a piece in there that made some people feel uncomfortable where it's like, I think a big reason of that is because we lose the physical touch outside the bedroom, just like holding hands, giving each other hugs, like kissing, watching Netflix, snuggling, that whole thing. And that was a weird piece for like, I'm assuming some of my parents' friends to read or like some adults to read. But that I wrote that piece not just to make people feel uncomfortable, but also like I kind of want to revisit that piece when I'm 40 and experiencing that same thing in a relationship.
Yep.
And so I don't think it's super useful to really talk about the uncomfortable aspects of the writing because again, like that's why I write.
Yep.
So yeah.
So why do you write like that? Is it a writing style that works for you? Is it just what's inside and that's sort of your angle on life and that's your honest take? Is it just, those are interesting things for you to write about? And like, why do you write on those things and just in such a brutally honest fashion?
Yeah. I mean, I think, I would say I write to figure out. That's what I've and if you ask me again in 10 years, I might have a completely different answer. But right now, being in my 20s and feeling like I know, so one thing that's interesting about being human is you have this confidence that the world is one way, and then you eventually figure out it's not that way at all, right? Writing for me is in a way sort of these dates in time as I'm entering into my 20s, like going through my 20s, eventually getting to 30s. And I think it's going to be a really interesting sort of check mark to be able to look back on and think, oh, that's what I was thinking at 26.
Sure.
Damn, you're wrong.
Right.
You weren't right. You weren't right. But it's also to figure out how I feel. There's a lot of times I'll start a piece and people, my readers say this all the time where they don't necessarily know where I'm going with it. And it's because they're following just a train of thought. It's like me sitting in a room meditating or sort of mulling over an idea. And I hope by the end of it, I come to some sort of conclusion. A lot of times I don't, and that's why I end with, but I digress.
Okay.
Because I might get to the end and I'm like, oh, fuck, I don't know what I'm thinking here. So yeah, I write to figure out.